Hello, dear gals and gallerinos. Freakuency here to introduce you to the very first episode of the Rogues Gallery with special video introduction. Apparently, nobody here in Midway City really listens to the radio anymore, so our producers have decided to go with a more global broadcast format. My assistant host, Fugitive Color, could not be here today, as the MCPD still don't really trust us within 200 feet of each other without full armed brigade handy. And due to recent budget cuts and the many fatalities from the last attack by Bananimosity, that just isn't really possible right now. Well, as they say, on with the show! But before we begin, I'd just like to take a moment to talk to you about something very near and dear to my heart. The term vuvuzela was first used in South...
And that's all for this episode of Bohemian Living. I'm Sung-Ho Porter. Today my guests have been artisan honeymaker Oswald Peters, feather painter Heather Waldorf, and inverse videographer Phineas Myers. Today's music was an excerpt from the Tibetan Shankhorn Sextet. You can find their music at any of your many local Tibetan record bazaars. Next week's topic, the dying Uzbekistani art of geometric tie folding. This is Midway Public Radio, WMIC.
Hello! Welcome to the first episode of the Rogues Gallery. I am your host, the sonic prodigy and mixing mastermind, Freakuency.
And I am your host, a man who needs no introduction, as I am possibly Midway City's greatest villain. The name Fugitive Color has been emblazoned across many a wanted poster and spinning newspaper segue.
Psh, you wish. If you were Midway City's greatest supervillain, we wouldn't be in this mess.
Yes, well, if you haven't been following the news, my erstwhile compatriot and I have been given this amazing opportunity by WMIC and the Midway Sheriff's Department as conditions of our parole to host a lifestyle radio show.
Hooray! For the next 2 years, we get to record a show extolling all the dangers of villainy.
Yes, ever since our release, we've been sentenced to house arrest, and our chauffeurs escort us to and from the WMIC offices.
Oh, you have a chauffeur? Because I get driven to and from my studio apartment by Officer Daniel Peters, a man who drives like he got his license out of a Cracker Jack box. But I'm sure your butler Jeeves drops you off in his hover limo.
Well, maybe they trust me more than you. Maybe they know that I'm a man of class and distinction, and that you need to be treated with all the finesse of a feral marmoset.
Yeah, well, you'd think I was a feral Marmaduke with the way they've been treating me. Would you believe that there is only one Chinese place that delivers to my address? And if that weren't enough, Midway's finest insist on digging through the lo mein with a stun baton before they bring it in. Like I'm trying to smuggle an ale file and break out of my 200 square foot closet of an apartment. And all of this luxury because someone doesn't know how to use his superpowers.
Oh no, you can't blame me for this. I used the utmost precision and mastery to break into that art gallery. You see, I painted a perfect copy of John Singer Sargent's Street in Venice and replaced their original with my own. But I didn't stop there. Having complete power over all forms of visual media, I was able to use my creation as a portal into the closed gallery, where there were countless works by other celebrated artists, a collection worth millions. But, though I was careful to avoid the security system, the MCPD was somehow alerted to my presence and arrived in force. I painted a hole in the wall to the building next door, and I was almost home free when you showed up and the roof collapsed on me.
Sure. Well, you weren't the only one that was in Hartford Square Strip Mall that night, so let me tell you how it went down from my perspective. I went to go knock over the record shop that I always knock over on Wednesday, and
Wait. You robbed the same record shop every week on the same day?
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where, like, they're never gonna expect it twice.
Please do indulge me. How many times did you do it?
More
than twice. Listen, they got their new shipment in on Wednesday, and I needed to make sure I keep current.
Very well, mastermind. You may continue your pedantic parable.
So, I'm inside, picking up some new discs, when all of a sudden I hear sirens going off. Now, I had a hunch that they may have been there to talk with me. They've been there the last few times I showed up, and I've just kind of chalked it up to coincidence. So, I do what any reasonable, sonically powered supervillain would do. I create a wall of sound impeachable by man. Impenetrable by man. Impoachable by man? They couldn't get through it. I throw up the wall, and the next thing I know, Wile E. Coyote paints a teleportation hole in the wall to my left. As soon as the dynamic of the room changes, I lose control of the frequency resonations, and the whole building comes down on top of us.
So, finally, Skrillex admits it's his fault. Face it, you couldn't control your wonder wall, and you got us both caught with your lack of discipline.
Well, that might check out if you didn't paint by numbers your way into the f***ing room and send me to prison for a year.
You seem to forget that I went to prison for a year as well, and your misfortune is no grounds to insult my masterpiece of metaphysical ingress.
Yeah, well, your masterpiece of a square doesn't compare to the masterpiece that is the new Knife Party album. But here I am, 1 year later, and I still haven't heard the album.
Oh, please, let me recreate it for you.
Laugh it up, yep. Stop! Just stop! I don't care whatever you think about the genius that is Rob Swire and Gareth McGrillen's Knife Party. All I care about is that I'm stuck in this stupid f***ing room with punitive color. Meanwhile, Officer What's-His-Nuts is standing behind the glass with a gun.
Well, at least he's behind the glass.
Don't make this any harder than it already is. If it weren't for you, I'd be playing sold-out shows and robbing 5-star banks in Beacon City by now.
Well, the only reason I'm not in Beacon City is that my grant application was denied. Ah, you see, dear listeners, they have so many superheroes in Beacon that they subsidize villains just to give the do-gooders something to do. I could have been sitting pretty on a fat government paycheck, terrorizing a better class of person in the greatest city in America.
Oh, I can't believe you didn't get it. What happened? They didn't like the nude self-portraits you kept painting of yourself on the Titanic?
Ah, nobody recognizes artistic genius anymore. They said that my compositions were rigid and unoriginal, and that all my recent crimes would be considered petty theft rather than grand larceny, which is the smallest crime they call a superhero for. I was pulling that job at the gallery so that I would have something truly masterful for my application. Something to put me onto the next level. And what do I get? Prison time, house arrest, and worst of all, community service with DJ BJ.
Yeah, well, it doesn't surprise me that good old Beacon City turned you down. That place is for the elite, like me. I grew up there. I was playing the circuit in Beacon while your mom was hanging up your stick figure drawings on the fridge. I mean, sure, there may have been a few times where I gotten a little over my head, but who wouldn't when they're staring into the beady black eyes of the night Vesper?
You know, I think I remember seeing about it.
Nah, it really wasn't that big of a...
Wait. He really kicked the shit out of you, didn't he?
Which time? Never mind. The long and veiny of it is that it's pretty hot and heavy out in Beacon City, so I came out to Midway. Figured I could start smaller and work my way up to the top, like all the greats. Just look at the career of Plundercat, Mightmare, hell, even Killclops all have their roots here, in Midway.
Oh, well, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but Killclops was my cellmate at Sentinel Hill Penitentiary.
No, they got Killclops?
Oh, yes. He killed something on the order of 20 orphan nuns with his, well, you know, his clops.
Well, they got him in Beacon City is all I'm trying to say. And that's where we should be. Instead, we're both locked in here like the Marmadukes we are, recording this torturous radio show.
I find myself too downtrodden to even correct your heinous malprop.
You know, I haven't played a show in over a year.
Now, please, be honest with yourself. You're a disc jockey. Have you ever truly played a show? Or have you just arrived and pressed the spacebar key on your laptop?
What? I'm no average button pusher. I'm not there to throw cakes at the crowd or ejaculate champagne all over them. Although that does sound kind of fun. But I don't just saunter on up and hit spacebar on my laptop, sir. I hit play on my record player. Real DJs use vinyl. There's an art to mixing. The same way you might mix a color on your My First Watercolor book. I delicately interweave sounds with the finesse of Bruce Lee in a fight. I give my audience a 1-inch punch right in the feelings and make them let go of all their worries while they dance the night away.
I'm sure anyone unfortunate enough to be within earshot also feels the need to let go of their stomach contents when they hear your clatter. Some emotional impact you must have. I'm all too sure you've moved audiences to tears with what you call music. When's the last time you even performed?
Well, I did just say it had been over a year. It's not exactly like I could be playing out in prison, you know. The prisoners don't really enjoy it, much less the guards, when you hijack the prison PA system and interrupt the morning announcements with a healthy dose of drum and bass. I had to find out the hard way that no one was in that common area to dance. Everyone just starts shouting racial slurs and stabbing each other with paper-made pens. I'm trying to create a relaxative environment. I'm trying to make people feel good, and I don't need to have a serial arsonist throwing feces at me while I'm on the decks.
Sounds like a reasonable response to me. Meanwhile, 2 cell blocks over, I was being tortured, not by my confinement, or the sadistic guards, or even the once great Killclops, God rest his soul.
What? Killclops is dead?
Oh, didn't I mention? Yes, lethal injection, I'm afraid. After the whole incident at the nun orphanage, he rampaged through the number 8 L train using the soiled husks of his victims as slip-and-slide lubricant between the cars. I'm told there were at least 40 more fatalities between that and the whole debacle at the pier. Quite a nasty business all in all. I read about it in his diary when he was in isolation for cauterizing another inmate's rectum shut, you know, with his clops.
I can't believe he's gone. Like, I grew up in the age of Killclops. I had the Killclops lunch pail. I had the Killclops backpack. Hell, I even had the Killclops action figure with opposable clops. I'm gonna need some time, man.
Yes. Well, at any rate, I was saying that I was being tortured, not by the poor quality bedding, nor the harsh fluorescent lighting, but by the stiflingly absent creative environment. The worst of it is that even though an art therapy class was offered, I was forbidden given my proclivities for turning art into criminal genius. And so I found myself doing crude charcoal sketches using a charred finger and a half-full pocket diary, both of which had been overlooked when my late cellmate's personal effects were gathered. I hid it behind a loose brick most of the time, and that, sir, is no place for my illustrations. They deserve to be exhibited in the finest museums.
Your illustrations don't even deserve to be exhibited in the funny pages. On a Tuesday.
You know, I'm getting a bit fed up with you talking down to me. I have proven my talents. I'm an established artist. I make things. What do you make, besides a deafening racket?
Well, I could use my sonic gloves to adjust the frequency of, well, anything. I could shake your molecules apart where you stand with vibration alone if these guys would just give me my equipment back, which... No, still a firm no on that? Which I will get back, eventually. I've got sonic gauntlets. I've got needle claws. I've got a freaking record launcher. You've just got your silly little paintbrushes. What are you gonna do? Paint yourself a record launcher?
Sounds to me like you're all gadgets, no talent. Well, you fiddle around with your yak back taped to a megaphone contraption. I can use my hard-earned aesthetic aptitude to create a masterwork beast, the stuff of true and deepest nightmare, a mural made living flesh by my devious brushstroke.
Ooh, scary. I'm sure the shiny Charizard you paint is gonna tear Pallet Town a new one. But you have the audacity to think that I'm all gadgets and no talent? I'd like to see you entertain those 34 kids at Eugene's bar mitzvah. What, you gonna paint a bunch of teenagers' portraits for fun? Maybe a winter mural on the wall of the banquet hall? Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna get them amped up.
I'm not sure you fully understand what it is that I do. The things I paint become manifest reality. I can conjure a solid steel blade by painting the Excalibur. Can you say the same? Does your music supplant reality? Does your every note spin the very fabric of the universe into solid form? Tell me this. If you played Sarah McLachlan's I Will Remember You, would you bring to life a perfect lover? Because if I were to recreate the works of Rubens, I could hold conversation with Jesus Christ himself.
So you paint yourself a bunch of companions, is that it, Doctor Who? You paint yourself girlfriends, you paint yourself your own personal Jesus, all for the sake of filling some negative space in your sad, pathetic life with a little semblance of friendship? I make people feel things that you never could. I make people love. I make people hate.
Well, I certainly wouldn't argue with your last assertion.
Oh, ha ha. Sure, you maybe can paint yourself a girlfriend, but I have a girlfriend. I'm a f***ing DJ. No, I'm not gonna let you sit here and tell me that my music does not count as a legitimate art form. You paint the flyers for my gigs, you motherfucker,
putting
like
my
I'm some sort of
artwork on a
cake-throwing,
portrait
crowd
to show you
kayaking,
what
piece
a
of shit
huge
Pauly D
asshole
playing Avicii's levels for
son
the
of a
34th
bitch.
time that night.
Hey, don't make me come in there. Very well. It has been suggested to us by our producers and the Midway City Sheriff's Department that we take calls at the end of the show to give our listeners a voice. So now let's hear from you, the good people of Midway.
Yeah, well, Did you see the game last night?
No.
Oh, we actually have a caller. Hello! You're on the air with the Rogues Gallery.
So, like, my boyfriend, Marco, is, like, going to prison or whatever, and I just want to know what's it like in there, in prison.
Oh, yeah. Prison was just great. You ever have someone spit in your food for just, sitting at the wrong table? The acoustics were awful.
I got a new tattoo. I did not want a new tattoo. I think it was supposed to be a swastika, but it turned out looking more like a, what's the tribal-looking insignia with the flute?
You're thinking of a Coca-Pelli.
Ha! Yes, a Coca-Pelli. Of course you would know what it was called.
One of my bunkmates got shanked for looking at a guy the right way.
Very little natural light.
The goddamn urinals in the bathrooms have a reflective handle top slanted at an impossible angle so that every time you go to hose down the porcelain, you're staring down the barrel of your own pink pistol.
And I did not care much for the stir-fry at all.
Oh, no, it was not good. Yes, hello, next caller, you are on the air with the Rogues Gallery.
I was a bank teller with the New Fortune Bank. You know, the one Frequency ransacked. I still have permanent hearing loss from that day.
Hey, man, I went to prison for that.
What? Sorry, let me move the phone to the ear you didn't destroy permanently.
Okay, fine. Let me say I'm sorry the best way I know how, which is to...
Yeah, that was my good ear.
Not anymore, it's not.
What?
All right, next caller, you are on the air.
Hey, I got a question for Fugitive Colors. Do you take commissions?
But of course. What would an artist be without a patron? What did you have in mind, good sir?
Okay. Picture this. Me looking super ripped, holding this big-ass sword in the air like I'm about to open a can on someone. Then, kneeling down in front of me like a super sexy loincloth is my girl Desiree. I call her Spire, though. And maybe she has a sword or something, too. I mean, it's an anniversary present, so whatever you feel is more romantic. Oh, you work on Black Velvet, right?
Sir, I believe you've just described the poster for Conan the Barbarian. Is that what you've asked me to do?
Oh yeah, okay, new idea. We're in space?
And I'm afraid that's all the time we have for that caller. Next caller, you are on the air.
Hey, Frequency. I saw you get into it with the corporal punishment a few years back, and how'd you get the idea for the record launcher?
I am so glad you asked. You know, it's not every day someone wants to know about the inception of the weapons of their personal reckoning. You see, around the time I fell in love with music, I do admit that I had another love. Something that, very much like music, can really shape a person into the costumed figure they'll grow up to be in their adult life. One of those things that makes you feel a range of emotions never before imagined. Something that makes you laugh, something that makes you cry, something that makes you feel everything all at once. I'm talking, of course, about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. As a lad, I was practically inseparable from my pizza tossin' Raph. You know, the one that came with the saucy pizza belt, 6 pizza pie discs, pizza oven, pizza launcher, and pizza pass and power arm? Of course you know the one. When I came to realize the power that music had over my miniature frame, I began to dream of a world where the two greatest things ever conceived could coexist in one perfectly crafted object of absolute power. I dedicated the rest of my life to the pursuit of such an object. After high school, I enrolled in engineering classes at Atlas University, while moonlighting as a DJ and knocking over small convenience stores where I could. I quickly began to realize, however, that the front-mounted pizza oven pizza launcher was impractical in a super fight, and constructed the marvel that is the Freakuency pizza oven record launcher, patent pending. So, look forward to seeing that bad boy back in action and launching records at your extremities in no time. Well, I doubt we're gonna get another question quite like that one, but take it away, next caller.
What went wrong in your life that made you turn out the way you did? Why did you turn to villainy?
Yes, what did go wrong with you?
Oops, looks like we've lost our caller. Yes, next person, go ahead, you are on the air.
Hey! Am I on the radio?
Yes, I actually just said you were on the air.
Yeah, I just want to ask, is Bryce listening?
I don't think Bryce is actually...
It's Les! I'm on the radio! I also want to give a shout out to my girlfriend, Crystal. Hey, baby. Can you guys play Coming in the Air tonight? Because that's not the other thing
no,
that's going to
we
be
don't
coming.
really play...
Also, big shout out to my brothers in Alpha Theta Chi. LSU Titans going all the way this year!
Yes, thank you so much for calling. It looks like we do have one last caller here. Hello, you are on the air.
Hey guys, it's Jonathan. I know you guys are probably busy and everything, but I just want to say I'm a huge fan of your work. The Rogues Gallery, just really been inspired by you guys and everything, and so I just want to let you know, just a huge fan of your work. Frequency, Fugitive Color, both you guys just do amazing stuff, and I just want to let you know. So you get back to what I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Well, one in every crowd,
Yes, that was something.
Well, look at the time. I think that we are just about done for today.
We do appear to be out of time.
That is it. Goodbye, everybody, and I guess we'll see you next time.
Yes, we certainly will. Thank you once again for listening, or not listening, or whatever.
The Rogues Gallery is brought to you by WMIC Radio. The Rogues Gallery is written, hosted, and produced by Josh Danforth and Colin Wilson. You can find more from us at www.roguesgallerypod.com to meet all of the rogues of Midway City, get extra updates from Frequency and Fugitive Color, and find links to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and more. Thanks for listening. Thanks for what? Thanks for nothing.
Thanks for nothing, assholes.